What's up guys, it's me Jake here, and today I'm going to be doing another top 10 video, which I haven't done in a while, and since I did the top 10 protagonist, I thought it's been a while, and I think I did say, I'm going to do a top 10 antagonist video, so here's my top 10 antagonist video. It took me a while to actually think about this, because there's a lot of antagonists that I would want to put on here, but I didn't read enough of to really experience all of their glory, so I didn't put them on here. So if your favorite antagonist is missing, I'm sorry. It's probably because I have not yet read too much of them. So yeah, and I'm also trying to limit one antagonist per series, because I have 3 One Piece antagonists that I wanted to put on here. So I limited it to 1. It was really hard, but I did limit it to 1. But yeah, that would have been like 3 of my top 5. So I did try to limit 1 antagonist per series, but yeah. Let's just get straight into the top 10, and starting with, at number 10, a series you will not expect to be on this list, instead of another series you probably would have expected on this list. But I did make a video purely on this character, and that is the hero killer Stain from My Hero Academia. Now, the reason I'm putting Stain on here is because his effect on the rest of the My Hero world is insanely amazing. Now, I know you might be saying it's limited to 1 antagonist and I put Stain and not Shigaraki. Well, I'm currently just about to enter the war arc and all of the My Villain Academia and stuff like that, so I've yet to see much of Shigaraki outside of the anime, how much of the anime has seen, so that's why I don't have Shigaraki on here, but I feel like if I've read more of My Hero Academia, Shigaraki would be on here instead of Stain. But I do have Stain on here instead because of that, so that's my reasoning. So before I get roasted for that, that's why. But the Stain does kind of set up every single event in My Hero Academia. Now, what do I mean by that? Without Stain ever occurring, the League of Villains wouldn't have existed. Dabi, Toga, Spinner, all of them wouldn't have joined if it wasn't for Stain's ideology, the ideology of how heroes should be seen within this world of heroes and villains. And I really do think that kind of concept inside of this kind of story really fits very well, and now getting a little bit spoiled for me about what it's like post-war arc, and seeing how ideologies are really big and how the basically going to the psyche of heroes is really cool, and I think it really did have that kind of hint towards that with Stain. So it really does make me happy that My Hero is going in that direction, and that's the main reason I'm trying to catch up and reread all of it. So really excited to read more, and I definitely think Stain is an amazingly written protagonist, amazingly written antagonist. I'm probably gonna do that a lot in this video, to be honest. Really bad with words, but really amazing written, and a really amazing character at the same time, showing how his ideology is really what pushes him. Even though he has a bad quirk, he really pushes himself to his limits to get to where he was, and to show people what a true hero was. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Stain, and I do think Stain is an amazing, amazing antagonist. Now, for one you guys were probably expecting me to talk about, but probably not as low as this is, it was really hard to rank the ones I were choosing. This one and the one after this, number 8, were very close. I would say that these are probably the closest I've had, other than my 1 and 2 on this whole list. But that's going to be Itsuwarobito's Kuroha. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about Kuroha, because there's a lot about Kuroha that I could spoil, because Itsuwarobito is all about the twists and turns within the story, and Kuroha themselves have a lot of twists and turns. I'm not going to say anything other than that. I'm going to say Kuroha is an amazing antagonist, and how the dynamic goes between them and also Utsuwo is amazing. I love seeing that kind of dynamic between them, how they're both trying to get this Koronotsu, and seeing how they kind of go about it in 2 very different ways. Even though they kind of have the same kind of concept and way to go through with it, both their goals after they get it are different, and seeing that is really good. And I really do love Utsuwo, and I really do love Itsuwarobito, and I think Kuroha is an amazing reason on why I like Itsuwarobito, because the twists and turns that Kuroha shows is stunning. They really do a very good job portraying Kuroha's character and helping Kuroha really progress the story within the twists and turns inside their character, and I really do love that inside Itsuwarobito. So that's what I'm going to say for Kuroha, because I can spoil a lot. I'm not trying to spoil because almost no one's read this other than like me. I'm like one of the 4 fans, but what can you do? But definitely highly suggest Itsuwarobito, and Kuroha is an amazing antagonist in my opinion. Now, at number 8 is the one that was super close to Kuroha at number 9. That is Yuta Ijika from Twin Star Exorcist. I love the dynamic between Rokuro and Yuta, and also how the connection between Yuta and Benyo is really established is really amazing. And seeing how both their connections with Yuta are so strong, and seeing how he kind of went evil is really interesting to me. And the backstory between Rokuro and Yuta pretty early on, the first 4 or 5 volumes I believe it is, really hit. I really love seeing all of Yuta's scenes, and even when it was like volume 18 or 19 I believe, when you get to just see Yuta's backstory by himself and how he dealt with all of this trauma in the past, it was, oh my god, it was so incredible to see why Yuta went down the path he did. I love to see that in Twin Star. I think Twin Star is an amazingly well written shonen that not many people have actually read. I think it's one of the most underrated shonens in that asset, but I will say Yuta is an amazing antagonist, and seeing the dynamic he has with the 2 protagonists is amazing, and seeing how he kind of acts, even though he is kind of this arrogant guy, and seeing the way Yuta Ichika acts with Rokuro and Benyo is so interesting. So I don't know what else to really say about Yuta, but definitely read Twin Star, because I'm not trying to spoil all the backstories and everything that makes Yuta so interesting. And also his powers. His powers are cool. Like, his powers are sick. I love his powers. But I will say, I'm not trying to spoil anything, like I said earlier. So Yuta is amazing. Love Twin Star Exorcist. Amazing manga. I definitely suggest it. I think it's in its final arc right now. I haven't read the past 3 volumes because I'm trying to wait for it to end. I'm going to reread it and just binge through all of it so I can kind of take it all in. But Yuta is an amazing antagonist from what I've read. I cannot wait to finish Twin Star Exorcist. So at number 7, you guys are probably going to be super surprised at this placement, but he has dropped down quite a bit. That's Sato from Ajin. I think Ajin is amazing, and as you can probably tell from the last couple, his dynamic, Sato's dynamic with Kei Nagai is super interesting. Seeing how Sato is with his backstory in volume 15 or 14 I believe, really love it. I love how he takes his life and how he acts about his infinite life, as he is a demi-human, and how he can take his life in any direction he really wants. I love seeing how he treats that, and seeing how he really just goes about his demi-human ways, seeing how he kind of thinks and uses these concepts of what he used to do when he was in the army against this kind of cop force that is specialized to go against demi-humans, and seeing everything he does is so great. But I will say, this guy really does have a plane fetish. I will admit that. It's really weird how much this guy likes using planes in his plans, but other than that, amazing antagonist. I love his dynamic with Kei Nagai. Love how he goes about everything he does. I love how he plans things and how he kind of has this arrogant sense to him, but he literally deserves this because he is an immortal being. He can kind of be arrogant about everything. So if you shoot him, he'll just heal. His IBM got him. So I love that. His IBM is super cool looking too, and how he uses his IBM is super unique and super interesting, and how much he uses, how much knowledge he really does have with IBMs, even though he isn't studying them, is really cool, and how much he knows and how much he really goes about using it is super interesting. So Ajin's great. It is pretty, it's on the more expensive side because Vertical is printing these at $14 a pop per volume, yeah, $13 a pop per volume, and they're also very fast read, so it doesn't help it, but definitely suggest Ajin. It's great, and I cannot wait for that final volume in September. Now, for the last new gen antagonist on this list, and probably the best new gen antagonist in my opinion, Kisaki Teta from Tokyo Revengers. Now, I know a lot of people hate Kisaki Teta because of his actions, but thinking about it, that's why I love him. He is a very hateable guy, but he suits his role so well. He is someone that is used in his story to be hated, so that when Takemichi, our protagonist, triumphs, it hits that much harder, and seeing Kisaki fail and things makes it that much more heavy when it happens. So I love seeing how he gets those twists and turns inside Tokyo Revengers, and seeing all the kind of wars he has with Takemichi, and seeing his backstory is so good. I think Kisaki Teta was such an amazingly well-written antagonist. If you were watching the anime, I definitely suggest reading the manga because it just gets absolutely insane, and where the anime is ending off is going to be insane. The Bloody Halloween arc is one insane arc, and I will say it still just keeps getting better and better from there, and Kisaki Teta just does the same. He keeps getting better and better and better. up until the Tenjiku arc, which I kind of don't like him in, but I will say he isn't used to be that strong guy. So seeing how this guy can use his brain to work his way up and still defeat Takemichi in every way possible is so great, even though he is written to be hated like a couple other characters. One more that will be on this list. Another one that really fits that role is Danzo from Naruto, but I think Kisaki Teta does that better. I think Teta is a very unique antagonist in that way, and I love how he goes about his ways of manipulating people to get to the top of the delinquent world. It's really interesting, and the reasoning behind it, he is a simp, but I will say it's an amazing, amazing story, and I think that Kisaki Teta is definitely one of the reasons why Tokyo Revengers is one of my favorite mangas out there. I definitely suggest Tokyo Revengers, and Kisaki Teta is incredible. So, the next one's kind of a Bleach spoiler, but I feel like everyone has known this. It isn't like a 1,000-year Blood War spoiler or anything. It's from the end of the Soul Society arc, so most people definitely know this, but if you haven't, then just like skip to the next part where it's number 4 or 5 or whatever I'm gonna be on. I don't even remember, but at number 5, I believe this is gonna be from Bleach. Aizen himself, Aizen Sosuke. Aizen is so cool. I don't know why. He just is so cool. How he uses Ichigo in multiple different situations is so insanely, incredibly cool to me. I think his kind of characteristics and how he goes about his ways is also really interesting. And seeing how his abilities is like illusions, which kind of reminds me again Jutsus from Naruto, but I like Bleach more than Naruto. I'm going to be one of those guys. So I do like Aizen's a lot more. And I do say I was going to put Itachi on this list, but I didn't really see Itachi as that much of an antagonist. So that's why Itachi's not on here, just letting that be known. Or else Itachi definitely would have been on here because he's my favorite character in Naruto. Wow, I couldn't speak. But Aizen, the end of the Soul Society, man, that really hit. When you found out Aizen was evil, it was so sick. I love seeing the twist in that. When I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, because I was an anime only first, and then I read the manga, but when I first saw that in the anime, I was like, oh my god. Then when Ichigo beat the 3 lieutenants with his bare hands, breaking his Zanpakuto, had his theme song playing, went Bankai against Byakuya, destroyed Byakuya, and then went up against Aizen, and then his finger just touched his Zanpakuto, and Ichigo's theme stopped, and he just was sliced. That was insanely, insanely sick. I don't know why, just nutty. I thought that was amazing, and I know I just spoiled Bleach a lot right there for the end of Soul Society. I'll definitely leave a spoiler warning for that. But Aizen, man, he's he's just sick. He's just really sick. And I'm going to say, let's just get to my number 4, because he's also really sick, and he has more Air Force energy, to be honest. So number 4, this isn't a One Piece spoiler, because this guy's known as an antagonist from the start, but I will say, I don't have his part in the mangas physically yet, but he will be in the 4th box set, and I think that kind of spoils who it is. Well, there's 2 people that were fighting in the 4th box set for who it would be, and I'll say the loser, that was Katakuri. And the winner of that was, of course, Doflamingo. Now, of course, there's no covers with him on it until, like, Dressrosa, I believe, but Dofi was sick, man. He definitely had some of the most black Air Force energy I have ever seen, and his, I think it's, like, the string fruit or whatever, I forgot the name of his devil fruit. I thought it was, like, not used as much as it should have been. I think there's a couple things he should have done instead, but I will say, it was really sick, and seeing like the kind of I think it's called Evolved Devil Fruits. I haven't read One Piece in a while now, so I stopped reading at Wano and Wano started because I read it by arc, so I kind of am super forgetful, even though I've reread it a couple times. But Evolved Devil Fruits and stuff, super interesting with Dofi, and I love seeing how he affects kind of the Straw Hats and how he really affects Dressrosa as a whole. I thought that was super sick. I think that little foreshadowing we have with him and Bellamy during Gaia and him during Marineford and stuff, he was sick. I think that Gaia really helps show how much these stronger people can really be, like how stronger they can be. Because Luffy, of course, one-shot Bellamy and Gaia, but like, Doflamingo being there was just insane, because like you can just tell he was going to be such a big presence in the future, and of course he was a huge presence in the future, and he's an amazing antagonist out there. I don't know what else I can really say about Dofi. I've been kind of blanking because my brain's just not working today, but I will say Dofi amazing, One Piece incredible, one of the best mangas out there, definitely highly suggest it. And yeah, on to my number 3. This one is probably super generic, and as a JoJo fan, you guys probably know it was a tie between two, but I had to deal with the other one that has been shown up more, and it was a tie between Yoshikage Kira, who lost out, and Dio Brando, who won out. I think Dio, seeing his dynamic with Jonathan was really interesting, and then seeing in part 3 his dynamic with Jotaro was pretty sick. I will say, don't tell me this man's isn't dripped out. Like, this guy is super dripped out. I thought it was super cool how much, like, kind of overpowered his stand was with his world doll. I think everything about Dio just shouted overpowered, but even then, it didn't really feel like plot armor in the end of part 3. It felt really cool seeing how Dio did things. I really loved his scene with Polnareff and the stairs. If you've read part 3, then you know what I talk about. That is one of the best JoJo scenes in my opinion. But I think Dio is an insanely great antagonist. How he kind of builds everything in JoJo's, because when you really think about it, almost every single part has a character connected to Dio. With part 3, of course, Dio. Part 1, Dio, of course. Part 4, which is the I was about to say Giorno. Part 4 has Jotaro in it, which had part 3, and yeah, if you know, you know. But part 5 has Giorno, because that's the JoJo, and that's Dio's son. Then part 6 had the antagonist, who is a friend of Dio or whatever. I've yet to read part 6. I've yet to read anything past the anime, so I don't know much. But seeing how Dio can kind of really be an antagonist through so many volumes and still have such a huge impact, I don't think many things can compete with that. I think Dio is one of the best written antagonists because of that. I'd definitely say longevity is definitely on Dio's side. But yeah, on to my number 2, which you guys will probably not expect. So, at my number 2 spot, something I don't think you guys would expect from my number 1 manga. Now, if you know me, you know that's Berserk. If you know Berserk, then that's Griffith. I don't know if you guys actually expected him at my number 2. I think a lot of you guys actually expected Griffith as my number 1. Him or Dofi, I think you guys probably thought were going to be my number 1. But Griffith does so much inside of Berserk, as he has that same kind of vibe as Kisaki Teta in Tokyo Avengers, but the Berserk kind of variant, as Berserk is all about Guts and how he can kind of take his revenge. And seeing Guts kind of go away from his revenge and into his acceptance of what Griffith has done is beautiful. And that's only being done because of what Griffith is doing at the same time. It's not that Griffith is continuously hunting Guts on his own. It's because of the brand that he gets because of Griffith that makes Guts the way he is. And seeing the things that Griffith has done to Guts in the past, and how much you kind of hate the guy, but in the end, morally, in his eyes, he didn't do anything wrong. And I love this kind of morality inside of Griffith, as everyone else sees what Griffith did is wrong, but inside of his own eyes, inside of your own eyes, whatever you do, you think is right. And that's what's going to be going through Griffith's mind. He's going to know he's doing whatever is best for him. And seeing everything that Griffith does to get him to the better spot that he wants to be in is amazing. And I think that is such an amazing kind of point inside of Berserk, and I love Griffith because of that. Now, I'm not one of those super analysis people who like analyze Berserk so much that it's like insane, but I do love Griffith anyway, and Griffith is such an amazing antagonist. And for my number 1 spot, something you guys will be super not expecting, but that is, can you get a drum roll please? Going to be Askeladd from Vinland Saga. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Whoa. What the hell? Askeladd? I don't really talk about Vinland Saga much, so I only read up to this volume, but Askeladd, man. Askeladd, even though I've only read 8 volumes, or I think these are 2-in-1s, I don't know. I think these are 2-in-1s. If I'm not mistaken, these are 8 volumes, and Askeladd has become my number 1 antagonist. It's not because he is an antagonist, is because he's only seen as an antagonist through Thorfinn's eyes, and seeing how much Askeladd really does for Thorfinn in the end, it's so amazing. Seeing how Askeladd kind of takes Thorfinn under his wing and kind of treats him as a son at some points, is incredible. And seeing the kind of things Askeladd does for Thorfinn is insane. And I love that kind of morality inside of an antagonist, even though this kid really wants to kill you, wants to take out your guts. You still are sometimes kind to him. You try to have him have the best. And I think that is so interesting. And having Vinland Saga and having Askeladd as that antagonist makes it that much better. And inside the last 2 volumes of 3 and 4 that I did read, Askeladd just grew better and better and better with his backstory. I think that everything added within Askeladd's character was so incredible, and it was so amazingly written. I think Vinland Saga definitely has a spot in my top 5 when I do continue reading it, but of course I've only read up to 4 because I want to get more. I want to get all 11 before I continue reading it, but a lot of them have been out of stock for me and I couldn't been able to find them, so it's been annoying to get, but Askeladd's number 1. All I can say. That should really be it for this video. I did hope you guys enjoy, and if you want any more of these top 10s, leave down in the comments below what top 10 you guys would like to see, because I'm open for ideas. If you don't know, my brain's fried, and I really don't have any ideas right now. I'm kind of just going with the flow of things. So if you guys have any ideas of videos you want to see me make, go ahead and put a comment out there. I'll even put it in the video. I'll even like shut you guys out. So if you guys have any ideas that you guys want to see, go ahead, and I'll definitely try and make as many of them as possible, because a lot of the ideas that are video quality ideas, like good ideas, I will make videos on. I will. So thank you guys for watching. I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!